We got another one of them. Popping at the mouth or the side of his neck when he pouts. No argument, no rebuttal from. He ain't from my town, I don't know him, so I'm guessing he's a clown.
Hey, welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let's talk about Impact Wrestling's Emergence from August the 12th, 2022. This is going to be a late review because I didn't watch it due to it being on the same time as SmackDown, which is a mistake. So I watched it the following day. Let's talk about the pre-show first, because I did actually watch bits of the pre-show. The digital media title still exists. I don't know why. Brian Myers is the champion. I completely forgot that he was. I mean, it is what it is. His opponent was Bhupinder Gujjar, the babyface Indian guy, who was as plain as ever. They had a match that bored me to tears. I mean, it is what it is. But Brian Myers retains his championship. I was just glad it was over, if we're being honest. Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo defeated Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary to win the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. They're going by the name Vexed, VXT. Interestingly enough, well, they were friends for a long time. But if you looked at the Tron that they had when they came out, it was a mimic of the NXT 2.0 color scheme, where like all the mixed different colors with the purples and the yellows and the oranges and everything. And I'm guessing it was because the two of them kind of said that WWE kind of stole the Axiom idea. So, again, Deonna Purrazzo claims, well, Chelsea Green also, they both claim that the Axiom character that is played by A-Kid on NXT is what Deonna Purrazzo pitched 2 or 3 years ago as the Virtuosa character. And I was rubbing my chin and I said to myself, I don't know if that's true. Now, maybe they saw the vignette and said that, you know, it's similar, but I'm pretty sure Chelsea Green didn't believe that Deonna Purrazzo wanted to be a superhero, because she didn't do that. You know, she didn't do that when she left. She didn't become a superhero. So I don't know. But maybe there are elements of the character that they did swipe, you know, but they are apparently taking bits and pieces of it back by doing the whole VXT thing. Rosemary, she's still there. She's starting to get shaped like Auntie Rosemary. Again, Rosemary has to get a ton of respect for staying in Impact as long as she has. At this point, though, it's like, where else is she going to go? You know, the match itself was fine. They're doing this thing with Havoc now, where Havoc is happy-go-lucky, where she was off screen in the demon realm or something. She was hiding somewhere, and now she wants to be normal like everyone else. So it's like she's got like this pink hair and she's all bubbly, and she wanted to be friends with Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood. She's kind of a bit of a big screw up now, you know. She's kind of getting in the way, and much to Rosemary's consternation, she's not really a fan of this new version of Havoc. It's really weird that they managed to cut a slice of the show out just for Rosemary. But it also tells me a lot that, you know, Impact is one of these places where you come in for a short run, you get a title or get a title shot, and then you either start working your way out, or you start to you know, kind of fiddle around for a little bit. But it's not a place that people stay long term, which is really weird as I segue to my next subject, which is Killer Kelly. So Killer Kelly debuted. They had been doing vignettes for her leading up to this point. Now, Killer Kelly actually looks so different than what I've seen her in the European Indies, and also when I saw her in NXT UK. She looks actually sexier than she did before. She has Black Widow vibes now. And they're doing a really good job of building something around her. Apparently, from interviews and different things like that, I've seen that Killer Kelly has been under contract for like 2 years, I think. And for some reason, she hadn't come in yet. I think maybe she got caught in the UK and she was kind of stuck over there. So they started, having her attack kind of no-name women after matches, beat them up a little bit. And then she had her first match on the same night that Madison Rayne had her last match. Madison Rayne lost to Mia Yim on the last episode of Impact before Emergence. So it was like, the 11th? August 11th. Madison Rayne lost to Mia Yim. She had already lost to Jade Cargill and pretty much, killed her AEW run. So basically, you got to see Madison Rayne lose twice this week. Once to Mia Yim, the other to Jade Cargill. So, whatever. It was her farewell match. They put it on YouTube, I think. So if you wanted to see it, it's there. I think Killer Kelly's debut is also there. If I remember correctly, Killer Kelly was the woman who said that she actually got paid more during European Indies than she did working at NXT UK. And she also said that that the VXV, or they call it WXW, over in Germany had better production values than NXT UK. NXT UK is in a bit of a rut right now, due to, I think there's some channel issues going on over there where they're switching studios or something. But people is really concerned about it. But Killer Kelly, she's very sexy now. So she's got like Black Widow vibes. VXT winning the tag team championships. I got off that subject real quick. It's cool, I guess. They cut a promo later about how they're best good friends and, they've been labeled problematic. They've been labeled bullies, but they're no longer tiptoeing around. This is supposed to be part of the sort of major, I think they call it the major family or the major players. It's basically Matt Cardona and his group. They've been trying to take over both Impact and NWA. So you got in NWA, you got Mike Knox and VSK doing stuff over there. You got Brian Myers and now and Chelsea Green, both with championships and Impact. So they're doing a lot, across the independents, the major family or the Cardona family or whatever they're calling them. And I think it's pretty cool. They're doing a lot in some small places, but sometimes being a big fish in a small pond is not that bad of a thing. It's not. I don't have a problem with that at all. All right, so let's get to the normal card proper. Speedball Mike Bailey defeated Jack Evans to retain the X Division Championship. I had never seen Jack Evans on Impact before, but it was because I completely forgot that he was supposed to be at one of the pay-per-views, but he nearly died in GCW when he did the 630 and landed on his head. He landed on the base of his neck and nearly died. He was unconscious for a short amount of time. So they basically gave him his title shot here. And him and Mike Bailey had a athletic match, like these guys tend to do. It was typical lucha, kind of. So, it was solid. I'm not a big fan of Mike Bailey. He's just incredibly plain to me. I know a lot of people have been gushing over this guy. And I'm just I don't see it. I just see a white bread guy who doesn't have any discernible character. And he does these terrible kicks where he jumps back and forth. Like Naomi does them too. I forgot where they got them from. Some Japanese wrestler they stole them from. But they look awful. And Jack Evans didn't die, which is a positive thing. But, so that match happened. The second match, Violent by Design versus Kushida and Chris Saban. So, Violent by Design has, they were one of my favorite acts about a year or so ago, because they were actually doing really good storytelling in terms of brainwashing different guys and saying that they had the sickness and the sickness had to be purged from them. But over time, of course, like they usually do in places like this, they beat them to death. So after Josh Alexander defeated Joe Doring, there became a kind of a different angle to it. So now Joe Doring, who had been undefeated for a year, he lost. So the group started to change as Eric Young started saying that now they have to prove themselves to him. And the group went from, the world doesn't belong to you to the world belongs to us to now the world doesn't belong to you, the world belongs to me, meaning Eric Young. And now he's, more of a tyrant than he was before. And there's these, punishments for failure and all this kind of stuff, which it kind of was before, but it's now far more of a cult than it used to be. And it was very interesting. Now, Chris Saban and Kushida ended up in this situation. I'm not sure how. Chris Saban was wrestling Alex Shelley for the #1 contendership for the world title, and they kind of fell backwards into this. Now, Kushida had a match with Diener, and I think he beat Diener, and that's kind of how Kushida ended up in this. And Chris Saban just ended up being his partner because he couldn't team up with Alex Shelley. So it ended up just being Chris Saban. And Chris Saban ends up getting pinned with a power driver by Eric Young. And this match was also just kind of one big old shrug. Like I wasn't that interested in it. The Chris Saban Alex Shelley match was tremendous though. That was a tremendous work rate match. If you just want to watch a wrestling match, I suggest you watch Alex Shelley versus Chris Saban. It was really good. But if you're looking for, again, greater storytelling, the build up to the match was great because, of course, it was a whole Motor City Machine Guns are wrestling each other. But none of it made me want to see either one of them become world champion. So that's unfortunate. Steve Macklin and Sammy Callahan, they began their fight. They fought throughout the show at this point. They had been basically scrapping. The match was supposed to go on second, but during Steve Macklin's entrance, he got jumped by Sammy Callahan. They began to fight and they fought off. They kind of just vanished, and there was different scenes of them fighting backstage. There was another. It kind of mixed up with the old Honor No More thing a little bit, and a little thing with Moose too. So let's kind of get into that. So the Honor No More, they did a promo. They had been losing, singles matches to Bullet Club. And Eddie Edwards was very stressed. He was under a lot of pressure about this whole thing and saying that if they lose tonight, they had to disband, which is the rules that they were set up by Scott D'Amore. And that, they are the manifestation, the walking manifestations of destiny. They're the guys who refuse to die. And if they lose, they would no longer have to spread their message. And they said, but they got a chance because Gallows is coming into the match injured, and that was because of PCO. And PCO has proved that he believes in the message, and now tonight they had to finish the job. So then Maria Kanellis, she gets on the microphone and says that it's been 8 months of them arguing and beefing with Bullet Club. But for the OGK, it's been 8 years of them fighting with the Bullet Club. And now it's time to end it. And I was like, I don't believe Honor No More was around for 8 months. I can't believe that. Yeah, I actually liked this group when they first started. Before they started treating them all like jobbers, I actually liked Honor No More. I thought it was a good idea. Then they put bum-ass Eddie Edwards in there, who was, good Jesus. You got Eddie Edwards and Matt Taven in a stable and you want me to like it? You got to be kidding me. Now, PCO, they for some reason chose to put him in the position to be the weak link. And he was the guy that they questioned his faith. And then he had the street fight with Gallows and won the street fight and hurt Gallows in the process. So that was kind of the big turnaround for him. Kind of finished his character arc. So Kenny King was the odd man out. There was more members of Honor No More than there are a Bullet Club, I guess. And it was supposed to be a 5-on-5 match, and there's 6 of them. So Kenny King has decided that he was going to bait Heath. Now Heath is I don't know what the hell he's supposed to be. but he is feuding with Honor No More because they injured Rhino. They put Rhino down. And so now he has promised that he's going to hit his finish on every member of Honor No More. So every week, he essentially jumps one of them from behind and hits his big finisher on them. And it's kind of gotten the crowd behind him. He's a little, I guess you could say he's a little bit like Diamond Dallas Page when he was feuding with the NWO. Kind of. I'm hard pressed to make that decision though, to go there. Anyway, Kenny King wasn't in the match, and he wanted to do something that's going to keep Heath from interfering in the match and costing him the match. So he went down to ringside with a steel chair and said that, the Chicago Bears got a better chance of winning than the Bullet Club. Then he says that Heath was so scared and heart pumped so much Kool-Aid. He called him a redheaded bastard. Say he got a concussion with his name on it as he started waving the chair around. And then there started to be a scrum in the audience. And everybody thought it was Heath. And it got Kenny King's attention. But it was just Macklin and Sammy Callahan fighting. So Macklin, I guess, is who Kenny King was rooting for. So he just kept telling him, like, get him, kick his ass. And while he was backwards turned, Heath attacked him from behind. And he dropped him with his finish or whatever. Heath then took the microphone and says that he had no intention of interfering with the 5-on-5. But if Honor No More continues to exist after tonight, he is going to be waiting for them on the other side. So I thought that was okay. Later, we still got the two are fighting, Sammy Callahan and Steve Macklin. They've been fighting all over the building. Moose, who was just feuding with Sammy Callahan, he lost to him. I think he also beat him in a match. But Moose says that he has no alliance with Steve Macklin. He doesn't need his help to beat up Sammy Callahan. If he wants to beat up Sammy Callahan, he'll just do it. This led for him to get attacked from behind by Sammy Callahan, knocked down. So then Moose and Macklin proceed to beating Sammy Callahan's ass. They worked together to pummel this fucking guy. D'Lo Brown and a bunch of security folks got involved and started separating them. Scott D'Amore came out there, said that Sammy Callahan versus Steve Macklin was now no disqualification. Moose is banned from ringside, and the match has to happen right now. Now, on the match listing, it happened 4th. Steve Macklin versus Sammy Callahan. And it wasn't long before Macklin was bleeding. And that's what this is. It was, whenever a match has no disqualification, you just know what it is. Guys hitting each other with weapons and nothing exceptional. I don't remember seeing any glass or thumbtacks or anything stupid like that, except zip ties. Sammy Callahan zip tied Steve Macklin's arms behind his back. They're going full Punisher with Steve Macklin, and it's kind of cool. I don't mind that. What I did mind, however, is these guys spitting on each other. I've told you before, I have an absolute pet peeve about spitting. That's the one thing I can't get. I would rather you punch me in the face. I would you punch me in the face 2 or 3 times and spit on me. Because if you spit on me, man, I may lose my fucking mind. I wouldn't know what to do if you spit on me. I'm spazzed the fuck out. I cannot stand watching people spit on each other. I don't like spit. I don't like body fluids. I'm used to watching people bleed in wrestling. That's about it. All that spitting on each other shit, I cannot deal with that. And both of them were spitting on each other in this match, and it was the shits. In any event, Macklin got zip tied, his arms zip tied behind his back. He then got cactus power drivered and pinned. So Sammy Callahan wins. Callahan, they're doing a lot of personal feuds with him, based mostly on his injured leg and Macklin costing him the match against Moose. So he got his revenge, and apparently his feud with Moose is not over. Okay. I wonder what's next for Macklin. Is he going to continue feuding with Callahan? I guess. Macklin was one of those guys who's just kind of there, What made him cool when he first started showing up, when he was doing, again, the Punisher, he was sitting in bars drinking whiskey and getting upset with people. being a tough guy. They kind of stopped doing it, when he strung up Trey Miguel, and that was fucking awesome. When he strung up Trey Miguel and tortured him into giving him a title shot, and then he didn't win the belt, that was dumb. That was dumb. He definitely should have won the X Division title after he strung Trey Miguel up I think he strung him up by his wrist. It was crazy. He definitely should have won the X Division title right there. That X Division belt, boy, it hit, man, fucking Speedball Mike Bailey. Jesus H. Christ. Anyway, Ray Horus versus Bandida was the third match in a AAA special attraction match. I love me some Lucha Libre, so I was paying attention to this. Even though there was no storyline involvement, because neither one of these guys has made any appearances on Impact that I've seen or can remember. So this was just moves, the match. But sometimes I can dig it. So this is one of those times where I dug it. Ray Horus did a tilt-a-whirl DDT from the second rope. It is as insane as it sounded. A tilt-a-whirl DDT from the second rope. It was phenomenal. And it wasn't the finish. That pissed me off because it wasn't the finish. Bandito then did a deadlift superplex. I just said, what? This guy's fucking freakish. I watched Bandito live. Guy's phenomenally so good. I don't understand why people won't sign his fucking guy. Does he not want to be signed? Like, every time you see Bandito, he's doing some amazing shit. He's that rare talent that is incredibly fast, but also freakishly strong. And for some reason, he cannot land somewhere good. Like, I wish WWE would get their head out of their ass and just give him the job. He speaks English, so they should give him the job. They should give Bandito a gig. He's short, but I think that he'll get over in a major way as a guy who can do both power moves and speed moves. He's perfect for like AEW as a hybrid wrestler or MLW or something like that. But every time I see him, he's on like bootleg shit like GCW or something. But Bandito is tremendous. They did a spot in this match where both of them were down until about the count of 9. And then they both sat up like Undertaker and Kane, which was, it got a pop out of me for some reason. I was like, what? But it got a pop out of me for some reason. Bandito wins the match with the 21 plex. Nothing gained, nothing lost. If you don't like Lucha Libre, maybe you wouldn't have liked this. But I love Lucha Libre, and I like Bandito, and I like Ray Horus. Ray Horus is another one of those guys that was a late stage Ring of Honor. Both of these guys were, and I enjoyed their work there, so I enjoyed their work here. I wish there was something gained. I wish that Laredo Kid and Horus and all those guys would get more opportunities. Unfortunately, they don't. I don't understand why they bring in all these awesome ass cruiserweights and lucha guys, and they refuse to give them any opportunities. Like, it's nutty. It's such a big problem in all of wrestling right now that they're just pushing the wrong fucking guys. Like, clearly, you want to have a really strong X division. You need to have somebody with some personality to push the fucking thing, okay? If you're going to do that, Mike Bailey is not the guy. I know that a lot of people on the independent circuit like Mike Bailey, and that's the audience that you're reaching for, but maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't be reaching for that fucking audience. Maybe we should be trying to bridge out a little bit. Maybe we should be putting some of the lucha guys. Like Laredo Kid is tremendous. Why the fuck is he a job guy on Impact? Why is Taurus a job guy on Impact? Why is, Ray Horus coming in and losing on Impact? Why is Trey Miguel not featured higher on the card? I'm asking too many questions. And I feel like I get into this every time I talk about Impact. I would be talking about this shit every single week if I talked about Impact every week. I'll be on the same shit every single week. All right, so there was the 5-on-5 no disqualification match. Honor No More versus the Bullet Club. It was no disqualification, so you already know what it was. It wasn't the same kind of no disqualification match as Callahan versus Macklin, though. Like, there wasn't tons of blood, but there was a big brawl, and it was just guys everywhere. It was people everywhere. Gallows and PCO was fighting over in the crowd, and PCO threw PCO got thrown off the barricade through a table. It was absolutely insane. Hikuleo just absolutely frisbee tossed Matt Taven into the field, over the top rope into the field. It was crazy. I actually saw Mike Bennett ask Matt Taven if he was okay, because it was almost like nobody caught him. he certainly hit the floor. That was for sure. Ace Austin hit the fold, which was a running blockbuster. He did it over the top rope, but it landed into the field. So it was another one of those, everybody's clustered and waiting to catch him. Chaotic match, absolutely chaotic. And I don't know more wins. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett pinned Luke Gallows, and now they're going to get a tag team championship match. So the OGK, they actually did get something for winning, so they don't have to disband, and they get a tag team championship match. That ought to work out just fine. I'm sure that ought to work out just fine. Where does the Briscoes go? Why can't they come back? I want the Briscoes to come back to Impact. Oh boy. Anyway, I don't know more. Not going to be broken up, so they're not going to break up their storyline with Heath. We're stuck with Heath and I don't know more. I'm guessing Heath is going to cost I don't know more the tag team championships, and it's going to lead for them to finally kill them. But I'm also kind of disappointed because I wanted I don't know more broken up. I think Vincent, and he could be better by himself. Eddie Edwards, I think he'll be better in the trash. Kenny King, I like Kenny King. I really do. I think that he's been underutilized his entire career. He's one of the few guys I think that, could have done so much more if maybe he didn't take the business serious enough, but I like Kenny King. All right, Knockouts Championship Match 6. Mia Yim versus Jordan Grace. Mia Yim was named the number one contender. She won the number one contenders match. She then lost like 2 tag team matches, which I was like, okay, what's the point of that? So Jordan Grace, who now has a masculine voice. Everybody has made it their business now to start making fun of Jordan Grace, because she's such a mark for herself and she's a moron. But what more can you do? Really bizarre. So me and him, this has been basically her comeback run, where she's kind of been back to prove that she hasn't lost a step and all that kind of stuff. She's a little bit chunkier than she was before. She's definitely gained some weight, but she's not as big as she was when she first came in. I hate to put it that way, because she's not like fat by any stretch of the imagination, but she's not as thin as she was either. When she was Reckoning, she was pretty skinny. It is clear that all that time off, she gained some weight. But she wasn't terrible. She wasn't awful. They basically did a storyline where they respect each other, but they were sniping at one another too. Where Jordan Grace is kind of like, oh yeah, you've been losing a lot lately. Are you sure you're ready to wrestle me? And, Mia Yim was like, oh, so you used to short title runs or whatever. They had a okay match. I don't think it was, over the top fantastic or anything. I think it was pretty good. I like the finish though. Jordan Grace wins with the Grace Driver. Nothing spectacular took place in this match. After the match, they were going to shake hands. In fact, I believe they did. And then Masha Slamovich came to the ring. And Masha Slamovich, they've been doing this thing for her with months now, of her just coming out beating up random women. And then they gave that gimmick to Killer Kelly when she started coming out beating up random women. So they changed Masha Slamovich's gimmick, where now she comes out and she basically challenges somebody who either just won a match or something like that to fight her. And she doesn't cut any promos or anything. She just comes out and basically gives them a picture with their faces etched out or whatever. And she's been working her way up the card. And now she's challenging Jordan Grace. She's coming across like a big game hunter, which I think is pretty cool. And, no problem there. So Masha Slamovich is likely going to be the opponent for Bound for Glory, maybe? Or is there a show? I think there's a show between now and Bound for Glory. And so Masha Slamovich is likely going to win the title. But me and Yum, lost that quick, and now back to the back of the line. So again, you can have all the talent in the world, but what you're gonna do with it? You're not gonna do much with it. The main event, though, Alex Shelley versus Josh Alexander. Good wrestling match. Again, not much in the way of emotional investment for me, namely because it's not really much of a storyline. It's just kind of Alex Shelley thinks he can beat Josh Alexander. He thinks he's the guy. Josh Alexander doesn't agree. It's babyface versus babyface. Nobody's turning heel. And they just went out there. They had a fair working match. And Josh Alexander won with the C4 spike. Nothing special. If you like good wrestling matches, it was a good wrestling match. But if you were looking for something more, something with some flair, something with some sizzle to it, that wasn't it. It was just a good wrestling match. Sometimes good wrestling match is enough. But Josh Alexander, again, great story going into his title run, but the run itself, not really. It's another Trevor Murdoch situation where I was completely in on Trevor Murdoch's run to the title. Like, yes, it was fantastic to have Trevor Murdoch, his run to the title. Then he got it, and I was like instantly bored with it. And that same thing I kind of am with Josh Alexander too. It's like, all right, how do we continue to make this guy interesting? Because what made him interesting before was Moose torturing his family and everything. Now he's not doing that anymore. What are we going to do? I don't know. I don't even know who could be the next contender. I'm sitting here trying to think about it. Like, I don't know who the next contender could possibly be. Is it likely to be like Eric Young again? Like, that doesn't sound fun. But, who else do they got? Again, they had all these guys, man, the Trey Miguel's and all those dudes, and they just beat them to death. Maybe they'll bring in a ringer or something. They'll bring in Jay White or Will Ospreay or something like that. And to have a quick run with the title and just to drop it back to him or something. Who knows? But it was a decent to good show, in terms of wrestling. In terms of storylines, too, it's actually not that bad. They did a good job of catching you up. So if you just watched this and you didn't watch the weekly TV, then you should be pretty caught up. So that's a positive. I give it a thumbs up, I guess. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
Skin tone, so why attach yourself and piggyback the wealth you didn't earn or lack yourself? I'm telling you to own up to your own success and failures. It's a reason why these